lead away with Karen and talk us through your latest project and maybe highlight some of the challenges, some of the victories, and certainly the joy you had in delivering.
Yep, great, thank you very much. We do have some slides to go through, and I'm just going to talk to those as some wonderful person is progressing them through. I wanted to talk about two projects we have, and the big impetus for those was really to make them more intergenerational villages. This is Trebartha, and it's an inner city location in Sydney, in Elizabeth Bay. So a very old building, 70s, 80s high-rise building, which happens to be next to a hospital and nursing home.
How many stories, Karen?
8 stories, and we put a 9th story onto the development. So that's the view from the rooftop.
Wow, commanding.
So it's a lovely, really lovely location, inner city Sydney. It doesn't come around very often, so we're obviously really keen on this site. But a key thing to have that intergenerational, so the retirement living next to an aged care facility. So here's the rooftop. Here's some before and after shots, obviously. This is not our after, of course. This is when we purchased the site. And look, a terrific location, but not very inspiring. So the residents had taken it on themselves to go and put some furniture up there and enjoy that view, with not very enjoyable surroundings though, unfortunately. And that's an image of the building from the street, fairly inward facing, in Elizabeth Bay, Potts Point, King's Cross area, fairly vibrant area. Pretty ordinary entryway to the building, and but pleasant enough to live in. So what we did in arriving, the first thing you do is consult and engage with the residents and work through what the needs were, and there's some significant needs with fire safety requirements and some upgrades needed in the building. Lovely surrounds and product, but obviously not wonderful, and the need for looking at how you might attract the particular market you have in the inner city near the CBD. So the residents, of course, had to be brought on board. That was the key focus, and what we learned is you really need to have a good plan and an early plan, and not have residents guessing about what might be happening, to be able to have the answers for them there. But also a key thing with Lend Lease was to make sure that nobody would be worse off with the development being undertaken. And there was a plan to open up the front. Here's the results. We had a terrific cafe come in, Shook, which basically opens up and brings the development into the community. And we're keen for the residents to enjoy that, and wondering if they would like that and enjoy that space by sharing it with the community. And they love it. It's a fantastic space, and it's part of the community now, and it's probably one of the most popular restaurants in the area.
Making me hungry looking at that counter. Those cakes are making me hungry.
Yes, good coffee too. So that was the thing. The ground floor opened up and connected with the community. The upstairs, we introduced a new community facility and a great open space area which overlooks that view. And that was the opening day with Tony Randello probably singing there, I would imagine, at our opening event. And people now enjoy that space as a really pleasant space to go to rather than an afterthought. So that's the carrot and the icing on the cake for the residents and what they were able to enjoy. That's the upstairs new community facilities they have, which are terrific. And so it was a win-win for everyone, but there's also a bit of a process the residents had to go through. And if I get time, I'll say a few points about that. Wonderful new entryway that's really inviting, and what meets expectations as well. So it was a 2-year process to update, and the residents elected to actually stay in the building, and that meant that there was more funding to put back into the building. They had to spend more time through a construction period, so it was a very consultative one, and they actually gained more out of that outcome. They each had a hard hat with their own personalised name, and they had a monthly visit around the site to see where it was all progressing. Lots of activities like that to keep them involved, keep them inspired. When you've got jackhammers, you know, every now and then you may not be so inspired, so you've got to have some incentives and things along the way. Often had day trips on really important construction days. But rather than them leaving the site for 6 months and coming back, they actually would leave perhaps for a week if there was some really significant works happening on their floor, and then day trips to help them through that. So it was a terrific outcome. Another site, this is a completely different scenario. This is Gleneen in our northern suburbs of Sydney, and a sort of villa development. Was constructed from the 80s and built in stages. And so it has some 90s, but some very old villas on the site. Beautiful site with 300 residents. This is the views next to beautiful bushland and some water views. Very leafy surrounds. Average age 81 for the residents. They've been there for many years, and there's a real interest in having aged care nearby. So we've just had a development approval for this site. Beautiful leafy site, and it's been a long process which we couldn't have achieved without the resident support. So here's the village, some of the before and afters. This is the before. Very steep streets, lots of stairs, external and internal to the units, and very hard to negotiate, not meeting current building standards. We're right next to bushland, so we also didn't meet some of the bushfire requirements that have come in subsequent to the village being built. You have to walk up or down the hill to get to your car park on a very steep area. So not any longer meeting some of the needs of the residents in one. This is the oldest part of the village. So we've done a development application which took 3 years of planning and work with the residents and 2 years of work with council. Here's essentially our entry to the village, and single to 2-storey villas which are ready for change. And here is the proposal, starting to construct early next year for the upgraded apartments. So we're replacing 24 villas with 55 new 2- and 3-bedroom apartments, all fully accessible, being able to level roads and make really good open spaces that people can enjoy. Really great quality design, and PTW did that. And beautiful spaces and beautiful apartments. And they're providing a different offer for the residents in the village, so a different demographic potentially coming in to spread out that interest in the village. And this is one of our shots to get the DA approval, to say, look, we're going to 3 stories, a little bit of 4 in little bits in a 1 to 2-storey village, but that's what it looks like visually. So it's all about how you can get that through with the planning authorities. But I must say, what we had that really won our support for that was resident committee support, 50 letters of support from the residents themselves, a fantastic resident committee chair who spoke at all the planning functions, and no neighbourhood objections, which really got us through. So basically we got that approval with the support of the residents.